am out in the woods once again, and so yeah, it's kind of nice. It's not that quiet. We've got a neighbor's dog barking away here, and not as pretty as it has been since it's wintertime. And yeah, it doesn't look that nice here, but I feel like it still beats the green sheet where I was in the last one. So yeah, I'm gonna make the most of it. It's kind of cool right now, so might get a little chilly. We actually had some snow overnight. Last night we had some snow, so the kids went out and played just really basically nothing, but it wasn't snow. That took some pictures. They ran out to play last night for a while, and then they went out this morning before it melted, but it melted really, really quickly. It's gone. So yeah, welcome to this video. I had kind of two topics that I wanted to talk about, and I think I'm going with the one seeing God in the little things. This has been something that's been on my mind a lot lately because I kind of had another incident where I'm like, with just this little, like a little prayer. So it's what I'm talking about is, maybe the really kind of small prayers, sometimes ones that you maybe don't even focus a lot on, like you're not really pouring a lot of energy into it, but still that little prayer, just that's something you kind of want to see it worked out. You have this prayer request, and and then when you see it, it's like, wow, this was a little thing, and God, God answered in the way that we, was hoping for that. And I think what happens too often when we begin looking at the big things and the big prayers that we're praying and then sometimes overlook these little things. So that's why I wanted to do this video to talk about it, because for myself, I'm really needing to see the little things more. For quite a while. I mean, I think I would overlook, like I have big prayer requests and some big things that I'm bringing them before the Lord, and I, very urgent in prayer, very diligent, just really much for a while, and then maybe I'll kind of slack off on that, and but then again, as months will go by and I haven't seen nothing come of it yet, and I'll go, really diligent, urgently praying for this, and you really want to see these things happen, and when they don't kind of happen when you want, how you want, then you just don't see sometimes God working. Like, what, I've been praying for all these things and that I'm really wanting to do, and they seem like good things, like for going on a mission trip as a family. Been looking for a motorhome for a few years to be able to do like travel ministry somehow, whatever that would look like. I don't know. I'm praying for God's direction and guidance, and just praying that it seems good, sounds good, and I'm and these things, just when they don't happen, then you almost feel like, well, where's God? Where is he working? And so we need to look at these little things. So I'm going to be sharing some incidences, just kind of like God, divine appointments and stuff. And that's things I was praying for too. I'd be praying for that. God, work through me. I want God, divine appointments where I can see, that I was needed at that time, or say something to that person, or, so I'd be praying for these and wanting these so badly in my life. And then and then when they happen, you don't want to, overlook it, but realize, wow, God, you are there present. You care about these little things. And so that's what I'm going to share with you about. My next thing that I will talk in another video is about Christian music and just the power of good, godly music and praise and worship, what it does for our lives, and just how important it is to make sure that we're just powering that into our lives and into our homes and into our minds and stuff. And it's really helped me, and I want to share about that. So I'll talk about that on another one. So the first one I want to share with you just happened a couple days ago. So it was a prayer, but again, not, just urgently, down on my knees, pray for this. But what it was is I was going to be going the next day. This was Friday evening. I was going to be going the next day. You have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, drive an hour and a half to where we're doing our first day of training for the outside prison ministry that I'm going to be able to be part of. So that team was getting together, and so I was getting prayed for it the night before. It was kind of getting late, and I realized my little one, she's 2.5 now, had a really late nap, and she wasn't going to be able to go to sleep that early. I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? I'm setting my alarm for 6 o'clock in the morning, and by the time I actually got done where I could climb, okay, now I'm gonna get to go to bed. I get to go to sleep. It's 11 o'clock, and for me, going to bed at 11, getting up at 6 just doesn't sound good, especially when I know I'm gonna be up in the night 2 or 3 times or more with her. It's just, that's the way it's been. She's up several times a night. I know it's a bad habit. I'm gonna have to stop that. So but she had been my last, so far my youngest, and I didn't mind, or nursing and all and stuff at night. So anyway, okay, so I got in bed. It's 11 o'clock, and I'm like, man, I got to get up at 6. I don't want to be up several times in the night. So I just pray, God, I need some sleep. I want to get up, be able to get up and get rest, feel rested, and be able to go to this and be at this thing all day. And so I just said that prayer, just kind of like that. So the next thing I know, I wake up and she's stirring there, and she needs me. So she's nursing for a while, and I'm trying to think, I think this is the first time. And, I feel good. I knew that it was to be towards morning. They were pretty good. And it actually wasn't long, and the alarm clock went off, and I realized it's 6 o'clock. And like, wow, this is like the first time she's woke up at 6 o'clock. And so I got finished with her, got up, took a shower, got ready to go, and it was just like, man, yeah, I prayed about that. And God answered. Now, last night, she was up her usual 2 or 3 times or more, and yeah, there was no way I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So just a little thing, and God knows, God hears, God sees, and I just think that's really super amazing. So the other 2 things I want to share is not necessarily like, wasn't something I prayed for. Just that I was praying for God divine appointments, all along, especially this one that I'll share first. Like at that time was just like, I want a God divine appointment. I think even when I headed out afternoon, because I was going to go see somebody, and I hadn't really made arrangements ahead of time with them, and I had to run to the store, and it was just, they lived just kind of across there, so stop, and I seen their vehicle, so I was like pulled in there, and but yeah, I just been praying, that this be, your timing, God, and everything. So I get there, and I go knock on the door, and there was keys hanging in the door. I didn't give much thought. I just knocked on the door, and so I hear her in there. She's actually talking on the phone. She comes to the door to answer the door, and she's on the phone. And she kind of held the phone away so she could let me know. She's like, oh, sorry, I'm about to go somewhere, but I can't find my keys. So I'm on the phone letting this lady know that I'm going to be a little late because I'm looking for my keys. And I'm like, oh, there was keys right here in the drawer when I opened the door. She's like, oh, my keys. So she tells the lady, okay, well, phone my keys. I'll be there in, so many minutes. And so she gets off, and we chat just, a minute or 2, maybe barely. And she's got to get going. So I head out. And I thought, wasn't that something? That I got there in time when she couldn't find her keys. She's needing to get to this appointment, and she's looking all over in the house for the keys. And I come to the door, and there's the keys. And so it was cool. It was really cool. Someone could kind of put that down as, oh, just a incident, But or she would have found him soon anyway. But I was like, I prayed for, got a divine appointment, and I got one. So little things, but that is really neat. And okay, more recently, maybe a month or so ago, I was gonna borrow some frozen tomatoes from my brother Tom. Not borrow, use them, yeah. And I went over to, so he is on the same property as us, and see, he had a lot of frozen tomatoes. He would put tomatoes up, and his garden did really well, and he was putting up a lot. And I knew that he'd had previous year, he gave me a big bag of, like, he just throws them in their hole in a big bag of frozen tomatoes, and we use a lot of tomatoes in soups and whatnot. So I was like, I'm gonna go see, but I'm feeling a little guilty. I was like, I don't know if his tomatoes did that well this year. What if he really doesn't have that many? But oh well. So I sent a text and I asked him, and he's like, sure, I can go. So I went over there. He was in the shop, so he walks over to the deep freeze where he has it on the porch of a trailer where my mom usually stays when she comes down to visit. So it's beside, quite close to his house. So he goes there and lifts some stuff off the freezer because I don't use it that often. Lifts some stuff off, opens it up to get me to look to search for the bag of tomatoes for me, and he feels up. He's like, this is a little soft. This is a little soft, and he hits me the tomatoes, and they're fine. So it's just things that would, like bread or something that would go softer quicker, but the other things, didn't just fall. And he found out that his deep freeze is unplugged. Then he went to see the problem. He's like, the deep freeze is unplugged. So it hadn't been unplugged very long, but it would have been very serious if it hadn't been found. And I happened to come along then to ask for tomatoes. So again, just a really cool thing to me. It was like, so of course I had to go home and tell the family, well, I was about feeling guilty asking for those tomatoes, but I don't anymore. I'm glad I asked for those tomatoes. Like, God sent me there to ask for those tomatoes, because how else would he would have found out about his freezer? I mean, he may ended up being around on that corner of the trailer somehow and seen that it was unplugged, or whoever unplugged it, because I didn't get to ask him yet. Did you ever figure out what happened? How was it unplugged? Maybe whoever, child or something unplugged it may have noticed or something, eventually, but would it have been soon enough? And I just think that's really neat that I hadn't been there to ask for the tomatoes. And he doesn't go to the freezer very often at all, so he wouldn't have found out until it was way too late if it was, if he hadn't found it when he went to the freezer. So just really cool. I went home, yeah, super excited. It's like, wow, look what God did. I went over and got tomatoes and saved his freezer. So just really cool, like how that can happen and work out sometimes. So sometimes I feel that we can be too busy looking for the big things, wanting to accomplish the big things, and see the big things happen or work out in our lives, that we miss the little things. And those little things are often have just as much importance or impact as the big things do, and sometimes even more so. So what I wanted to just bring awareness to is let's look for the little things in life, for the little things of God answering your prayers. And of course, when we just look at nature, we see God, right? And everything, everywhere we look, we can see him. But working out the details in the little prayers that maybe sometimes we don't even really put a whole lot of thought in, but we just, and then when we see God work those little things, my notes here, we don't want to miss the little things God's doing in our lives because we only have our eyes on the big things, looking for big and wanting to accomplish big things, and make a really big influence or something on people. And so we don't want to get too caught up on that. And you and I, both may still be waiting for these big things that we've been praying diligently for a long time. We're still waiting. We're still hoping. And I want us to keep doing that. Keep praying, keep hoping, keep expecting. If it's God's will, it will work out in his time. Sometimes our timing is just not his timing. And so we just got to have patience and just say, Lord, your will, not my will. But these things that feels, if you really believe that it is God that's gave it to you, then keep standing on that and say, God, I believe you gave this to me, and I am still, expectingly waiting for you to work these things out. In the meantime, help me to keep patient. Help me to see what's in front of me, to do now what you have for me right now, and to see the little things that you're doing and working out in our lives, just to be aware of those things. In the meantime, we just need to have our eyes open to see all the little things and the little miracles that God is working out every day for us in our lives and our families, and just to know and rest in the fact that he sees, he hears, he knows, he cares, and he's working these things out before, we can even, before we say a word. A beautiful verse I like in Isaiah 65, verse 24, and it shall come to pass that before they call, I'll answer, and while they are still yet speaking, I will hear. So a lot of time we kind of just have to fall back on what we know that he hears us. He hears us when we're praying these prayers that we're not seeing happening, but he knows, and he hears, and he cares, and just very important that we're walking in his will and his way and his counsel. And says that whatever we ask in his name, that we shall receive, believing that in him all things are possible. But it doesn't mean that we're gonna, just get it right when we ask, because there is a timing. His ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not our thoughts. So we, he maybe works in a different kind of time frame than we do, because he's working things out for his glory, for our good, and for his glory. And his time frame can look different than ours, but may his will be done. So we just want to seek his will. May his will be done. And keep expecting and hoping, and for these things that he's put on our hearts, and that we feel that he's gave us. And so we just be diligent in that, but make sure that we are looking in the little things and seeing God and the little everyday things, because he is so ever present, and so seeing these little things, and he wants us to be aware of little things, especially with mom and children. We need to really be observant of if there's ways we can connect better with our children, or help work out problems with them, or see attitudes that need to be fixed. The little things are so important. The little things and the little decisions that we do daily with our time over time. And so the little things are so important. I just wanted to hop on and do that video about that. And I hope this has been an encouragement to you and inspiration. Just to keep looking to see what God is doing in your life, because he's doing miracles every day. He's doing miracles every day. And it's just that we're all get up in the morning, that we're alive and we're breathing, is a miracle. It is a beautiful thing. It's not a little thing. It may seem little, that it is not. It's a big thing. And just keep counting our blessings and seeing what it is, what all the things the Lord is doing for us. Maybe we can write down these little things that He does, and so that we can, over time, we can say, wow, look at all these little things that God has worked out for our good and for His glory. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this, and please stay tuned for more. Check out what I'll do over at my website and blog, and about my new book, Holding On to Hope. And I share, stuff in there that God has worked out in our life and done in our life since losing our son in 2017, and just what He's been doing, and seeing God in the little things. I talk about that in there too. So I'm sure you'll be blessed and encouraged. Okay, take care. Share this with others that you know. Till next time.